Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson. Shannon will be with us a little bit later in the show. But to begin with, we are joined by our own Vince Redmond, marriage and family therapist, as well as has a background in ABA. And many of you know Vince is a regular on the show. Hi, Vince. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you, Nancy?
Very good.
Good.
You getting over a cold, huh?
I am, yes. It's been a struggle for the last few days.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for a lot of people out there. Seems like it's going around. Well, we're glad
It is.
that you could join us this morning.
Thank
Vince,
you.
we wanted to talk a little bit today about center-based services. First of all, can you explain what center-based services are?
Sure. Center-based services are something that we do at CARD, where we provide the actual treatment in a center environment. So we're able to provide the one-to-one. It's still one-to-one direct intervention with kids, but in an environment that is, it leads to more accessibility to social skills, play skills, language skills with peers, a lot of things that we're unable to do in the home setting. We're also able to work on some of the precursor adaptive living skills so that when they get to the point where they need to actually use those skills in their home or in their environment, they have some skills to be able to build upon. But each center, each of the CARD centers, excuse me, and I know other agencies as well, really look at having center-based services as well as the home and community-based services that we're also used to.
Have there been studies done on the effectiveness of center-based services?
Yeah, we actually did. I mean, we actually did our own study and showed that it was the kids, and especially the early learners, significantly gained skills at a quicker pace using center-based services than they did during home-based services. Now, that could be for multiple of variables and lots of different reasons that go around. But what it came out is that they were actually acquiring skills, I believe, at an 80% faster rate than they were at home. Now, again, there's different reasons, but these precursor skills are the skills that are necessary for them to continue their learning in more complex settings, more social settings, and more of your community-based settings. So it's shown to actually be very successful for our kids.
So, what are some of the arguments then you would say to a parent who there might be some objections? And do you know what are some of those objections that you often hear?
Oh, I hear lots of them.
Okay. What are some of the objections you get?
Some of it is more convenience issues. I think a lot of it is the center might be a distance to get to. It might be difficult for them to get the child to the center because they have other children maybe that they have to pick up and drop off. Depending on the level of function of the kids, sometimes there might not be appropriate social opportunities within the center. So, the center primarily has a lot of, say, early learners, early intervention learners, and a child is 13, 14, there's not going to be the same social opportunities for them than there would be if there was a 6-year-old. So sometimes that plays into it. But we know that, and we understand we understand that we want to put each child in the situation, in the environments that are going to be the most beneficial to them, not only in treatment, but also in the to generalize their skills as well. And sometimes families feel that doing it without direct isolation, so that they're not isolated in their own room by themselves, sometimes might be a distraction to the kids. But we've actually noticed the contrary with a lot of kids. Now, there's no absolute, but with a lot of kids, they actually perform well. They perform better when they have, seeing other kids learning as well, seeing other kids getting treatment, seeing other kids also having a therapist and working on things. With a lot of our kids, it actually increases their motivation to want to, continue and learn and get that reinforcement, get that big praise that the other child just got. So there's a lot of different reasons why I think there's some concerns and questions, but I always encourage the families to ask, always encourage the families to share their concerns, even come in and see some of the sessions if we need to, so that they feel a lot more comfortable with the CBS services.
Okay. So you encourage the families to come in and take a look and see what's going on.
Yeah, they need to let us know ahead of time so we can make sure that the proper documentations are signed, non-disclosures and so forth. But also make sure that the child is, getting their therapy in a room where they can observe without a family member, observing at the therapist or other therapies. But yeah, absolutely, we can make accommodations for that so that the family can actually come see the center, see, things in action, see the sensory room, see the adaptive living space that we have for the kids, or the older kids, and so.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, right, about maybe new skills you can try out for your child. Because my son, who is now 16, attends center-based services twice a week. And one of the things that I didn't realize that they could work on was taking him out to dinner
Yeah,
and learning how to order and how to use change and that kind of thing. So there's certain things that you might not think of that you should ask at the center, right?
right. And there's a lot of those things that, again, like I was saying earlier, those precursor skills that you can teach him, so that when you actually do the natural environment training in the environments in which they're going to need those skills. So you practice the learning, the one-to-one about how to order, what would you say, how do you look at a menu, how do you choose things. We can do that individualized at the center and practice it and role play and have a good time with it, and then apply it when he's ready out in the restaurants, diners and so forth. Um, where he's actually going to need to use that skill. But a lot of times that can be taught in that one-to-one setting at the center.
Okay, so don't be afraid to ask for things that you think your child might need because it might not be out of the question. See, I never would have
Sure.
known that was available except another mom was doing it with their child, and I thought, wow, this is something that Wyatt could use.
Yeah, I mean, we have menus. We can get menus. We make menus. Using Wyatt's example, so that they can go. We can we make a little table and actually have a little mock restaurant so that they understand how to do it, what to say. Again, a lot of kids are very nervous about things. They're very nervous about, what to say, what to do, and And the more we role play, the less the anxiety goes down, the more confidence they get. So that will go up, and the more successful they'll be when we actually get to the restaurant to use it.
Okay, now is center-based services something you recommend for 100% of the time for some kids or just for partial, or does it depend on the child?
It 100% depends on it depends on the child. It depends on the individual child's needs, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what their goals are and what they need to work on. Some kids have 100% CPS services. Some kids have a hybrid of community-based, home-based, some school-based, and CBS, and some they're not at CBS at all based on their individual needs. So what we want to do is we always make sure that the individual is what we're looking at, and we base our not only our service recommendations but our service locations uh, on that.
Okay, so we encourage parents to look into this and to talk to their supervisor about it. Is that
Absolutely, absolutely. And most of the kids, like we had said earlier, most of the kids have a lot of benefit by getting services at the center. The social benefits, they're motivated. It's a lot of fun. We make it a good time for them, as well as we're able to like I said, build those precursor skills so that when we actually have to apply skills in any environment, either social environments, maybe it's our adaptive living environments, or like we were saying, out in the community with community-based behaviors, we can do that at the center.
okay? All right, so these are strong arguments for center-based services, as you can hear from Vince. So don't be afraid of them. Do what you can to accommodate and speak to your supervisor if you have concerns. Don't be afraid to try to design an individualized program for your child with the help of your CARD supervisor. And there's some real benefits to this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Vince, thank you for joining us and talking about this today.
No problem, Nancy. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll be back with some in the news stories.
Potty training is different for every child. A child could come in with absolutely, no control over their bladder, and as long as that's not a medical issue, then we can certainly approach it behaviorally and give them the tools they need to be successful, just like any other skill that we would teach.
Well, we think he's learning to pee on the potty. No big successes yet, and lots of accidents. Here is the laundry from today.
For some of our kids takes, just a couple days, And then for other kids, it can take months and months and months. And then when you're looking at complete independence, it can take years.
Hey, you have to go pee-pee?
There's a lot of different ways to tell if a child is ready. We look for a couple different things. Probably the most important is parents saying, I need this to happen, I'm ready. Second is, a child showing interest in the bathroom, and some of it is simply age. It's time to go ahead and work on this.
What are you doing? Pooping. You're pooping?
You first start with teaching the child what they need to do on the toilet. The basic thing we want is for them to drink as much liquid as possible. It's inevitable that if you drink a bunch of liquid, you're gonna pee.
Help.
No, I can't help you pee. I can hold your hand, but I can't help you pee.
Ultimately, what we want is that, the child, as soon as they're put on the toilet, they urinate. So that's step one. Step two is usually working through the amount of time that they're off of the toilet and making sure that they're not having accidents during the time that they're off. So this is kind of the bladder control stage of things.
So the purpose of the potty log is just to see how long it takes them as soon as they sit on the potty for them to actually urinate, and the amount of time that he's able to hold his urine. And with the log, we're able to visually see how long it takes them each time and if they have accidents or not. He's on a half-hour potty schedule, so if he doesn't go when we take him, then we have to take him in 10 more minutes. So every 10-minute intervals until he does go, and then we reset the clock, and it's 30 minutes again.
Okay, buddy. Okay, last chance to go pee-pees. Do we reset it for 10?
Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, Jack? It's potty time. We can come play after. Hurry.
What we hope happens in this time is that the kids will learn how to initiate going to the bathroom on their own. This is oftentimes the hardest part of potty training, is because they get so used to somebody telling them when they need to go that they're not really recognizing the signs just in their own body of when they need to go.
Oh, he wet himself.
Uh-oh. Big wet?
Was it a lot? We can reset to half an hour now.
The biggest thing for parents is not to give up. The other big tip, and I think pitfall that a lot of parents fall into, is putting their children back into pull-ups or diapers, especially if they're starting to have accidents. And this is probably the worst thing that you can do. They need to recognize that feeling of fullness in their bladder and take themselves to the bathroom, or tell an adult that they need to go to the bathroom.
What do you have to do? You have to put your pee-pee in the potty. Okay, give it a shot. See if you can put it in there. There you go. You're doing it. Yay, Jack.
Big prayer for your pee-pee. Big
Yay!
pee-pee.
Woo! Yay! Good job. What a big boy. High five, high five, high five, high five, high five, high five, high five.
And we are back with Let's Talk Autism. And today we have some stories in the news to bring to you. The first one is a very technical story that's from the spectrumnews.org website. So you can go on that website to learn more about this story. But the headline is "Autism Genes Abound in DNA Regions Involved in Learning." And the highlight of that is that certain genetic regions in mice, they have found, loosen their wrapping around support proteins after the animals learn a new task. And they are saying that the same processes that enable the brain to store new memories may also control many autism genes. Candidate genes for autism are more than 3 times as prevalent in the genetic regions that become active after mice learn a new task that, as would be expected by chance, researchers found. The connection between learning, memory, and autism could explain why many children with autism have intellectual disability. They're trying to understand the overlap between learning and autism spectrum disorders. The results appeared in the 16th January in Science Signaling. And once again, it can be found on spectrumnews.org. So you can go through this. It does have a lot of technical lingo in it, but Once again, they're learning exciting new things about DNA, regions in the brain, and how it affects learning. Another article that was in Spectrum News is the cost of camouflaging autism for girls. And they have many case studies in this article. One about a woman named Jennifer who was not diagnosed with autism until she was 45. And that was only because she wanted confirmation of what she'd already known for decades, that she was on the autism spectrum. And for years, she had camouflaged that. Apparently, this is a phenomenon often found in girls. There are numerous stories within the article, which is in spectrumnews.org, of women who have had autism without necessarily being diagnosed and were diagnosed later in life. Some haven't even been diagnosed at all, but this explains sometimes, it could explain why there's more boys diagnosed than girls. The girls may not be getting the diagnosis. So that's one of the things that the article brought up. But this masking is when an individual will literally learn skills, coping skills that mask the signs of autism. So they'll often rehearse language, rehearse speeches, rehearse behaviors, hide their self-stimulatory behavior. And the cost of this is very high because it can result in anxiety, it can result in depression, but it's often a coping mechanism that girls with autism use to fit in. And they're finding out that it's much easier for women on the spectrum to mask their signs. The masking is much easier for girls to do than boys. So once again, that's an article in spectrumnews.org, the cost of camouflaging autism, some very interesting case studies of women who wanted to fit in and ways that they were able to do so and hide their diagnosis. So we're going to go to another break, and we're going to be back with Shannon doing an interview with Jackie McDougall from 40 Thrive. So we'll be back in just a few minutes.
What would you do if your child was hurting?
If your family's future was uncertain.
If help seemed out of reach.
Have you been given no hope?
Taka means I am not alone in this.
This is the reality for families affected by autism. And today, the number of children with autism is growing more rapidly than ever. Taka unites these families and shows that they do not have to fight this battle alone.
Our oldest son, Jared, who has autism, when we first took him to the doctor to get the diagnosis, you know, it's so sad because they offer you nothing. There's no help, there's no hope.
One of the things that you learn with autism is being very grateful for even the small milestones. You know, when you first get the diagnosis, you go through all the range of emotions. You know, this can't be happening. Why is this happening? You have to get to a point where it's the emotion that has to be leading is, what can I do? The first thing that struck me was walking to a room and seeing, oh my gosh, we're not alone. And there is this very strong community that's already set. And something I still today associate with Taka the most is hope. To me, that's what Taka means. Taka means hope.
It's like you've got all these dreams and goals of what your son's going to do, and you get your diagnosis and you're sent home. And that's it. There's no plan of action. There's no, here's autism, here's what we're going to do to make your life better and help him. It's strictly go home and try to process it and go on the internet. It was devastating, and you just, you know, you go through this 3 week of depression and then you snap out of it. You have to. And then you start making phone calls and trying to figure out what is autism and what are we going to do. And then we found Taka, and it was life-changing.
Autism, there really is no definitive answer. It is trying to find the resources that are out there that can assist you to help your child so that, you know, you just don't feel so helpless at those particular moments.
There was direction, and there was hope, and there was a little ray of sunshine that he's going to be okay, and we're going to be okay. I always look back and think we would never be where we are. Carson wouldn't be where he is at without Taka.
So 13 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism, and that put our whole family into a tailspin. There were so many different ideas and things that were not proven. Nobody knew what guidance to give us. We had no direction. And then we found Taka. They helped give us a path to follow, help give our son a better future and make him healthy and put him back onto the road of recovery. When your son's first diagnosed, the first thing you hope for is, gosh, I just want my son to speak. I just want to be able to communicate with him in some way. Then you want a little more. You want him to go to a regular school. Then you want him to potentially have a real life and go to college. So you're always hoping for the future of your child. My son is a happy, healthy, vibrant young boy that's going to turn 15 really soon. And we couldn't be more pleased, and without Taka, I don't think we'd be in the place that we are today. We believe the future is not defined for many affected by autism. There is hope and direction for these kids and their families. Taka is dedicated to providing community, support, education, and hope to families affected by autism.
At Taka.
At Taka.
At Taka.
We are families with autism helping.
Helping.
Helping families. Helping families with autism.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am 19 years old and I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old. Autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States, but I am living proof that with the right treatment, hope is possible. My future is not limited. Today, I am attending Fullerton Community College and I run for the cross-country team for fun with my friends. It makes me feel proud when I think about my progress. Chances are you know someone affected by autism. Show them they are not alone and help others get on the road to recovery. Contribute to Talk About Curing Autism today.
Welcome back. For the month of February, I thought it'd be a great idea to work on an activity that would help your kiddos identify and label emotions. And to help me out today is my good friend, Jamie.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hey there, Jamie.
Hey, how can I help?
Well, the way you can help me out is that because you're a sock puppet, you can do things with your face that I cannot do.
No way.
Totally. The way you can do it is that, you have interchangeable features, which means you can make super exaggerated faces, which makes it easier for kiddos to identify them and to label them.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I have a favor to ask you.
Yeah?
Can you help us out and show us some of your faces you can make?
Of course. Here we go.
Ooh, you look super mad.
I was super mad.
Can you show us another one?
Sure.
Ooh, you look super sad.
I was super sad.
All right, can you show us one more?
One more.
All right. You look super excited.
I was super excited.
I am too. You know why? Because I really want to show everyone how to make a little buddy like you. So let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are googly eyes, felt, a hot glue gun, imagination, scissors, Velcro, some heavy cardstock, and a clean sock. All right, let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to grab your sock. Hopefully it's not dirty and used. It's a clean one. And what you're going to do is that you're going to take your sock, fold it in half like so, and then you're going to take your scissors and cut down. The reason we're doing this is that we're going to make an area for the mouth. The next thing you want to do is you want to trim the inside a little bit, because if you don't, it's going to have an overbite. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just trim a little bit off, not much. Now that this guy is ready, I'm going to take a hard cardstock or note card or whatever you have that's a piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half, and what I'm going to do with this is going to be the inside of its mouth, the kind of reinforcement so you're able to move its mouth around. So I'm going to just cut it into an oval. And don't worry, if it's a little too big, you can always trim it.
With this sock puppet project, the materials we're using, like the hot glue, is not something for children. So this is something you're gonna be doing by yourself and then asking your child to join in once the puppet is ready to go. All right, now that I got that out of the way, let's start gluing. I'm gonna take my hot glue gun and I'm going to glue it on the paper. Okay, once I have that, I'm gonna put that in the inside of its mouth, and then I'm gonna take the sock and then pull it over the edge and cover it with the glue. All right, so now that I have the bottom part done, I'm gonna do the same thing to the top. So now that we have this part assembled, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a piece of felt and we're gonna cover this area so you don't see all the scraggly stuff. So I have my piece of felt right here. I'm gonna fold it in half and I'm just gonna cut out a similar oval shape. And again, don't worry if it's too big, you can always trim it after we glue it on. I'm gonna glue it inside. All right, now we got pretty much the base of the sock puppet. He's got a moving mouth, but wait, he's got no features. We gotta help him out with that. So what I'm gonna do is I have these pieces of Velcro that I bought that are already sticky on the back, which makes my life a lot easier. And I'm gonna peel this off and place it where I want his eyes. So one there and one there. And then I'm also gonna put them also along his mouth. And then if you want to get fancy, you can put some for his eyebrows as well. So now that I have this, we should be making some features for him.
I'm alive! Alive!
I had a great time with my buddy Jamie, and I hope you did too. Until next time, bye.
Bye. And don't forget to send us your photos at facebook.com/autism-live.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live and to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I am here. I can't believe this is the first time that we've ever had you on the show.
Right.
I am here with Jackie McDougall. And for those of you who don't know Jackie, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for you because you should, and now you will. She is an amazing woman, a tour de force, somebody who really inspires me all the time. Your resume, you are so prolific, the things that you have done, but you're still so young. But let's start.
So young. I mean, let's take a minute to.
Well, but you've worked extensively in television and the entertainment industry, and you are a mom of 3 kids. Mm-hmm. We should say that Jackie is an autism mom.
I am.
And a proud autism mom. And you have started on a new venture that is so exciting to me personally. I don't feel left out the fact that I'm 50. I will say that. But you can see on the screen there that it says 40 Thrive.
That's
so
right.
First of all, let's start with welcome. Because
thank you, Shannon, for having me.
I can't believe I haven't had you on the show before, and I think it's remiss of me. But I absolutely, I follow you and the things that you do and have for quite a while, and I'm always impressed and inspired. And I said this to her earlier, I think at least once a week, I want to be more like Jackie.
Oh my
And that's the
gosh.
truth, because you tell the truth in a way, in the way that you write and the things that you post, that it's always very moving to me. But I also don't ever feel like it's an overshare kind of a thing. I think you strike just the right tone always.
Thank you.
And your story is amazing. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to this 40 Thrive.
Okay. Well, first of all, 40 Thrive is for women 40 and above. So
Right.
40s, 50s, 60s, beyond. So anybody over 40 fits in. So don't,
And I do feel like I
fret
fit
about
in.
that 50.
I do feel like I fit in, but I'm so far from 40 at this point.
That's just a starting point.
Okay.
40s
All
are a
right.
launching point.
All right.
Yeah. So, as you kind of mentioned, I feel like I'm a walking talk show with my experience in life. I've had so many unique experiences, from having a breast cancer gene to a child with autism and other issues, we've adopted overseas. Like I know a little bit about a lot of things. And so I feel that it's really important. I've noticed that it connects people when I talk about it.
So maybe there's somebody out there who's like considering adopting or has a child on the spectrum or thinks maybe they have a child on the spectrum. I get a lot of messages through Facebook of, hey, I have a friend who ...
Right.
You know, can you talk to them?
I can totally see that in you, that you are kind of the every woman. I feel like all of us can connect to you, and you are so open always.
Well, you know, thank you. I think that in some ways when we're going through things, especially when we, you know, if we go back to when I first discovered that my child might be on the spectrum and some of the things that we've been through, you know, you can feel guarded, you can feel alone, you can feel like nobody understands you. But as you kind of get comfortable with the idea and you have your services in place and you have your social things and you meet other amazing autism parents through community, I feel like it's really important to be vocal and to be open so other people who maybe are now going through what you've been through can get that same support.
Well, amen to that. And I'm always talking to moms here on the show about the fact that if your child is diagnosed with autism, it's not the end, it's a beginning.
Right.
Sometimes it's a beginning that you didn't count on. But I'm always fascinated to see how, especially the women, transform and come through it and find themselves and find a strength that they didn't know they had. And you have just been amazing through your journey, that with all the things that you've had going on, you've always been able to find your feet and constantly continue to move the dialogue forward. And this 40 Thrive seems like the culmination of all of that.
That's exactly what it is, because I feel that not only, you know, with my work in television and digital media that I have done for my career, but I have been, you know, I've created communities or been part of communities that have really mattered and elevated whoever it is that's involved in that community. And one thing I discovered as I turned 40, which was not yesterday, but
last week,
was that women over 40 were kind of getting stuck. It was like life was going along. Maybe we had babies, maybe we didn't, but you know, we're moving to a new chapter. You're not necessarily changing diapers. Some of us, you know, some women over 40 still are, but you start to get to a place where there's not so much in it every single day that they would open their eyes and go, wait, now who am I? What am I doing? And not really know where to move. And it was like they could move their upper body, but their feet were stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've created this community so we could all get together and support each other and encourage each other and maybe get some expert advice and just kind of learn and interact and share in a way that helps us all.
Yeah, well, I think the stuck thing is a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to do a talk that was called The Amazing Paralyzed Woman, because that was me. That so often, you know, I would see something and I'd go, oh, and then I would see something here, oh, well, maybe I'd like to, this, right? But if I had 4 or 5 of those things going, what would happen is that I would be like, and then just get completely paralyzed.
Right.
And I do think, I mean, I can't speak to 40 anymore because it's so past, but I know at this point, because I'm 55, I'm mid-50.
You're rocking it, girl.
Well, it's one of those things where, and it's funny, I was just talking to a male friend who's also 55 the other night, and he said we're in the moment where we are still well enough that we can mostly do what we want to do, but everything is overshadowed with, you better freaking do it now, because when would now be a good time?
Right.
And it's all about this moment in time.
Yes. And don't you think, how great is it? Because even just when our parents were growing up, you know, or even after, it was, you do this job, you punch the clock, you do it, you know, and then you work toward retirement.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to live. And then many of these people wouldn't necessarily get there, or they wouldn't be healthy enough to enjoy it. So I think that, you know, Gen X, you know, those who are over 40 are really starting to look at life as, let's live this now. Let's not wait until we retire. And so I think that it's great to have that attitude, but we also still need a little bit of help pushing us out. And like, how can I live now? You know?
And the idea of having a group of women to support and to learn from, because as you said, you there are a bunch of things that you know about, and people
Right.
come to you and go, hey, Jackie, so I know I want to connect you with this person who knows. And I love that women will do that with
Right,
each other.
right.
I guess men do that to some degree, but I don't think on the emotional plane
Right.
that I think women do.
Right.
And so who better than a group of women to get together? Can I also say, too, that I love how we've got some of the pictures that are up there on the screen right now. I love that your pictures depict real women.
Yes.
That it's not a bunch of skinny ladies.
But they're all absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. And you had mentioned earlier who took these pictures.
Renee Bowen, who's also an autism mom.
Yes, so I love that.
Yes.
And Renee has never been on the show, but I should have Renee on the show. But
You should.
we have had her husband and her son on the show.
That's right.
Because her husband's an actor and her son was in a commercial with his dad, and we featured them. You guys can find that on our YouTube, in our YouTube archives. The Bowens.
She's amazing, and it was really important to me to bring together women, diversity is important as far as, the color of our skin, our background, our financial situation, our age, unfortunately, when you best laid plans, we have the shoot and then certain people back out, and, because it was very emotional for these women to come and get hair and makeup and mimosas and be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And some of them had never done anything like that. And so we had a few that, weren't able to join us. But I think it was just such an incredible day because they were spoiled, and they were pampered and they loved it.
Good.
But the thing is, that's really important to me. And I appreciate that you say, that I'm sharing myself. But if I am this way, if I can share my experiences, why the next woman can too.
Yeah.
And so this brand is so not about me, but I'm a facilitator to all of these other women who are over 40 and want to thrive.
So we should tell people, because if people want to know more about this, there's a website to go to.
There is.
And there's also an event that's coming up.
Yes, I'm very
which is
excited.
a very cool thing. And it's coming up in just a couple of weeks on March 10th.
March 10th, yes.
So, and it's from 9 to 5.
It is.
And where is it?
It's in Valencia,
Okay.
which is just north of LA,
Yeah.
about 30 miles north. And it's from 9 to 5 at the Embassy Suites there. And it's called Thrive by Design, and it's hosted by 40 Thrive. And it's packed with speakers from money and career and health and wellness. We have a doctor. We have a woman who was on WIC, who was a single mom after she graduated UCLA. You have to hear her story. And she is now a multimillionaire, broker. And she's just amazing, amazing person. Denisha, who will be sharing her story, but also just women who have been there or who are going through now some of the things that we all go through. They just have a little bit of wisdom and a little experience to know what the next step is. So they're kind of sharing that. We've got some workshop, ideas too.
Okay, so if people want to register to do the event,
Yes.
it's happening on March 10th, as we said, and you have a Facebook page,
We
40
do.
Thrive.
40
that
Thrive.
people can go to.
FORTY.
Okay, and so what's the normal price if they're
So
gonna?
they can the ticket price is $297.
Okay.
For the full day.
Right.
However, that's
Yes.
not with your
Autism Live folks aren't
Yes.
getting it for that because Jackie's here, and so she's got an extra special
Because you're a
deal for you
goddess.
guys.
Yes.
Well, and because you're amazing, so
Oh,
tell them
thanks.
what the Autism Live deal is.
So you go to 40thrive.com/workshop, and there's the registration page, and they can use the promo code autism-live.
There you go.
And their ticket for the full day, all the surprises, the speakers, everything is $47.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So if there are some moms that are watching, in particular autism moms that are watching, if you've never been to this kind of an event, this one really worthwhile because you're going to be there with other women who are real people. You're going to get inspired, like to where the top of your head may come off because there's, but sometimes we need to fill the tank.
Right.
You can't just run
Right.
and run and run and run. So wonderful, fabulous event. You've got speakers. Do we want to go over any of those? I have a little list here.
Sure.
Should
But
we
one
talk
of the
with
things
someone?
I definitely, because you totally nailed it just now when you said like your head is ready to. I have been to many events and they were inspiring and motivating. And then I would leave there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to go change the world. And then I get home and I'm like, how am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And so I'm left with inspiration and no tips or tools. And so it's really important to me that I'm working directly with the speakers so they can provide some of these tools and a little bit of a roadmap so you can take those next steps.
I love that.
Because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, it's great to connect. There will be so many amazing women, but we want to make sure that we leave you with something, a little to-do list.
There you go. And then you've got the community afterwards because you're still on the Facebook page.
Yes.
And I see on your page that women support each other. I love that so often on your page you will, I talked about it in fact on Thursday that you had a question that really made me think last Thursday. And there are times people write things, there are times when people post something and they say, I found this, and it's a really great resource.
Right.
It really is a community of women who are trying to uplift each other and not be that stereotypical thing about how women are always the hardest on each other, right? Because who needs that?
Right.
I think men invented that stereotype. I'm not participating in it. It's not real.
I will not receive that.
No, I'm shunning that. And clearly, if anybody is part of your group, they're seeing that that's not the case. These are women who are supporting and helping each other. So thrive by design. I love the whole idea of thriving because so often it's just I got to slog through. Right. But and sometimes you have to slog through, right? Sometimes,
100%.
Sometimes you just have to survive. But you know what? And I know we discovered this, my family with autism was, there were days that you just have to survive. But if you just survive over and over and over again, time passes. And you look back and you go, all right, so we did survive that, but where's the rest of it? Where's the thriving? And we all have choices in this life about how, and I love the whole idea that you use design, because that's really what,
we have an opportunity to create what we want in our lives. And, we are given circumstances all the time. It's not like we all signed up for the autism class,
Right.
But there are ways to thrive through that. And I think we're taught that we're supposed to be thriving all the time, and things are supposed to be meaningful and purposeful, and sometimes you are just existing or surviving. And so I think being kind to ourselves and being kind to each other and knowing that we have those days and not having so many huge expectations, that's part of thriving. Knowing our limitations and knowing when it's okay to just be mediocre.
Yeah. Honestly, I think, and that's part of boundaries, that as a group of women, I think the younger women have that a little bit more front loaded than those of us who were born a little bit earlier. Yeah. So, but I know that, part of thriving and one of the things that you guys are going to be talking about is getting unparalyzed, getting unstuck. That's the word that you guys use, but also knowing your limits. That's a boundary thing.
Right.
Of what you can do.
And
realistic.
And being nice to yourself.
Yes.
You don't have to walk in and be like the smartest, prettiest, most we have to stop. Like the expectations we put on ourselves to be everything to everyone all the time, it's exhausting.
Absolutely. Amen, sister.
Yes, right?
I love it. So 40 Thrive, check out their website. And if you would like to come to this event, March 10th, you have a perfect way to get the perfect discount. So you go to the website that's on the screen right there, right now, and you put in autism-live. And you will get a ginormous discount, which thank you so much. And, we have to have you back to talk about more things as you're doing them. But want to thank you for always being an inspiration. Truly, I look at Jackie and I go, okay, you never make it look like it's all perfect. You have real things that are going on in real time and much more than I can get my head around. But you're always positive and kind. I think that really is the word, Jackie. You're kind.
Thank you. And I just have to say to you, though, because I know that you have people who come on the show, and I know you have people who comment on the show, but there are more of us who are just watching all the time, who maybe are going through our own stuff, and you're not afraid to talk about the tough stuff. And it's not every day is rosy. And, you know, we were talking offline about, you know, sometimes we have autism days more than others.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really appreciate what you do and the
Thank you.
voice that you have and the platform you give people to really know that it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
That means so much to me because it is okay. You know what I always say here? We hold hands. Si se puede, right? We can do this. And you can do it at 40 Thrive too. I think sometimes autism moms look at an event like this and they might think, oh, yeah, well, then I'll be there with a bunch of those neurotypical moms. And I just want to say to you that, yes, there will be neurotypical moms there too, but there will be autism moms there too. So
Yes.
this is an autism mom friendly event.
Well, and it's an opportunity to not necessarily be an autism mom or even a mom
Right.
that day.
You
Where
get to
you
be a
can go
person.
back and tap into,
Woo!
imagine that, tap into the
Woo!
woman
Who's
you
that?
are before all of that.
Oh my gosh. I think she's hidden somewhere under the bed. Right?
Well, find her, Shannon.
With dust and dust bunnies. 40 Thrive. And check out Jackie because Jackie is amazing. And I know that it's about much more than that, but you know, it's always top down. And if somebody who's real and genuine is at the top of stuff, it does trickle its way down. So this is an amazing thing, you guys. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you so much. I
You got to
appreciate
come
it.
back.
Okay.
All right. 40 Thrive, March 10th. Get yourself there. Autism Live is the code that gets you there a lot less expensive. All right. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Kara Kaczynski, the Pocket Occupational Therapist, and we're here in Dallas, Texas at the Future Horizons Autism Super Conference. So the book is the Special Needs School Survival Guide, and it's everything you wanted to know about school. It is, okay, so it starts out with just different diagnoses that you might see, and then I explain them in clear terms, no technical jargon, and then each little diagnosis area has about, 50 to 100 activities that you can do at home or at school or cheaply and effectively. So it's just full of information that you can use right now. And the cool thing about it is at the end of every chapter are resources that you can use and access in the internet from a computer. And it's not just for kids with any diagnoses either. It's for kids that are just having trouble with handwriting or with dressing in school or transitions too. Well, both of my kids are on the autism spectrum, so it's important to me that when I learn something for other people, as I research it for occupational therapy, I want to try it at home. So then I take what works and I put it in a book, and what doesn't work, it's thrown out the window. And the other thing is I've just started to research for webinars because our kids, if our kids are aging, so they start out these cute little babies with autism and now they're getting to be teenagers and young adults, and we need help with modifying the environment for them, transition planning, and especially for IEP goal writing, for functional things that they can work on, not just handwriting, but then going beyond into the transition to young adulthood. Yeah, the misnomer at this point in the school systems is that we just do handwriting. So we are actually not handwriting teachers. We can modify or help rectify a grip that's inefficient. So if a child doesn't have that nice, pretty little tripod grasp, we can help to get that. However, when the kid's in 2nd or 3rd grade, then we look at efficiency. So if the grasp is efficient, if it's a quadrupod grasp or if it's some kind of funky grasp and the child can write efficiently, then we leave it alone. But if not, then we go to electronic accommodations. So OTs then can look at keyboarding and what kinds of keyboards would fit the student best. Also sensory processing, as the kids get older, it looks different. So we can look at sensory processing as it relates to function in the school. And then we also can look at behavior and transition planning. Other things we can do is work on seating. So if the child's having trouble sitting still in the classroom, we can modify that too. So not just handwriting, not just sensory, but we look at behavior, transitions, so anything that affects that student's school day. Right. So that's a really good question, because sensory processing disorder did not make it into the last DSM, which is the way that medical professionals classify disorders. So it did make it into the classification under autism, but sensory processing disorder is very confusing, and a lot of therapists treat it differently. So the general overview is that sensory processing is either a heightened response to stimuli in the environment or a too low, which is hypo, response. So if the student perceives every noise around them is equally as important, or every feeling, so I'm sitting here, I can feel the chair, my sweater, the noise around me, then it's hard to concentrate and focus in the classroom on what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So we would use something, maybe a suggestion could be a weighted lap pad or some kind of fidget tool for the student to fidget with, or we can even look at special positioning in the classroom, so preferred seating. Then, with sensory, transitions can be hard because any unexpected bump in the classroom or in line can set the child off into a fight or flight, which is when they really have a tantrum and freak out. So when they're in a fight or flight mode, they may fly off the handle for no apparent reason, maybe just being bumped by another student. So it's our job to be detectives and to figure out why the student is having that meltdown. So my CDs were created for my own kids my son in kindergarten didn't like the fire drills. So he was afraid to even step foot into the classroom because the fire alarm may sound. Of course, the school's not going to say, oh, let's just set off the fire alarm for your son, Bob. So we thought, where can we get a fire alarm? So we went into a recording studio and picked a whole plethora of sounds that you couldn't control, fireworks, thunder, sirens, and we put them on a CD, and I wrote nursery rhymes, changing the words to blender, blender, it's okay, or different little Mary Had a Little Lamb is something to do with thunder. So they're kind of fun, and that way the student can control the volume of the sound. It's not a listening therapy, there's no headphones involved. It's just a fun way to control sounds that you normally couldn't control. So they're for sale at my website, thepocketot.com.
Hello, fellow activists. In our last segment, we talked about step number 2, educate yourself. Step number 3 is get support. Now, any journey can feel overwhelming if you feel like you're walking it alone. Well, you're far from alone, because with 1 in 50 kids diagnosed with autism today, there are a lot of us out there. Of course, there's always the issue of financial support. Now, there's a handful of organizations out there that offer financial support to families in need. ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today, is one of them. Visit our website at www.act-today.org to find out more about our grant process. I want to talk about a different kind of support today, emotional support. Now, you can get that from other travelers on this path. Some of the best advice I've ever received is from the moms of other kids with autism who went to school with Wyatt or were involved with programs with him. Then there are the pioneers. These are the families that have gone through this years ago, and there was very little information out there. All of these people seem to have the desire to pay it forward. Now, one of them, Lisa Ackerman, who is one of my mentors, started an organization called TACA, Talk About Curing Autism. She actually took the concept of mentors and support groups and made it available to everybody. You can go to their website, talkaboutcuringautism.org, to find out more. During the first and most difficult year after Wyatt's diagnosis, I wrote an email to close family and friends, letting them know what was going on and the challenges our family was facing and why we dropped out of sight. I was amazed at the outpouring of love and affection and all the help I received from that email. First, you have to be vulnerable. You can't be afraid to ask. Try this out. Could you cook me a meal? Are you going to the market? Can you pick me up a few things? Could your kids play with my kid and make them feel included? Or can you come over and clean my house? Well, maybe not that last one, except with your best friend. And maybe the best support of all is having someone that listens, and that doesn't cost a dime. So until next time, surround yourself with the loving kindness of others and keep the faith. And we've talked a lot about support today. Enjoyed Shannon's interview with Jackie McDougall from 40 Thrive. We encourage you to check that out and the event that's coming up, which if you're in need of support, you got to get out there and find it, right? So Jackie McDougall from 40 Thrive, you can go to the 40 Thrive website to find out more about that and get that wonderful discount that Shannon is offering. We also talked to Vince Redmond today about center-based services, and I really encourage you to check out the center-based services if you're a card client and you have not. If you have some issues with it, talk to your supervisor about it, because they have done extensive studies now which show the center-based services are highly preferable to home services, and that they offer tremendous benefits. I know, for example, with my own son Wyatt, I didn't even know that they could do things like take him out to a nearby restaurant near the center and teach him about ordering and money. He has a lot of socialization at the center. There are a lot of benefits to center-based services, so don't be afraid of them. Reach out, talk about them. Highly recommended for all of our kiddos. And then support, we also need financial support for a lot of our efforts. I want to bring up an event that's coming up that Autism Care and Treatment Today is doing on Saturday, April 21st. We have our military run. Our military families need extra support because of a lot of the challenges that they have. A lot of times a parent member is deployed. They move typically more on average every 2 years. This makes it very hard to access services once they move. So every year we have an Act Today for Military runs. We've got the 8th annual One Hope Act Today for Military Families Run and Festival coming up. That's April 21st. It's at Tecolote Shores Park in Mission Bay, San Diego. We encourage you to come out for that. If you're in the San Diego area, you can also join as a virtual runner. You can support us. Once again, you can go to acttodayformilitaryfamilies.org/run. That's acttodayformilitaryfamilies.org/run to register for that. It's a great day. We have lots of fun activities for the kids. The festival afterwards has the Wine and Beer Festival with One Hope and Stone Brewery. There's going to be lots of free food, lots of free activities, a resource fair. So we encourage you on April 21st to come out for that to support military families impacted by autism.